Hi, this is Liz Haddock from Social Work Exam Strategies, and today we are going to review the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics. Listen to the recording anytime, anywhere.
The Code of Ethics will be presented in 7 videos. This is video number 4 out of 7. Ethical Standard number 3, Social Workers' Ethical Responsibilities and Practice Settings.
Next, we will review Code 3.0. 1. Supervision and Consultation, A. Social workers who provide supervision or consultation, whether in person or remotely, should have the necessary knowledge and skill to supervise or consult appropriately, and should do so only within their areas of knowledge and competence. B. Social workers who provide supervision or consultation are responsible for setting clear, appropriate, and culturally sensitive boundaries. C. Social workers should not engage in any dual or multiple relationships with supervisees in which there is a risk of exploitation of or potential harm to the supervisee, including dual relationships that may arise while using social networking sites or other electronic media. D. Social workers who provide supervision should evaluate supervisees' performance in a manner that is fair and respectful. Next, we will review Code 3.02, Education and Training. A. Social workers who function as educators, field instructors for students, or trainers should provide instruction only within their areas of knowledge and competence, and should provide instruction based on the most current information and knowledge available in the profession. B. Social workers who function as educators or field instructors for students should evaluate students' performance in a manner that is fair and respectful. C. Social workers who function as educators or field instructors for students should take reasonable steps to ensure that clients are routinely informed when services are being provided by students. D. Social workers who function as educators or field instructors for students should not engage in any dual or multiple relationships with students in which there is a risk of exploitation or potential harm to the student, including dual relationships that may arise while using social networking sites or other electronic media. Social work educators and field instructors are responsible for setting clear, appropriate, and culturally sensitive boundaries. Next code 3.03. Performance evaluation. Social workers who have responsibility for evaluating the performance of others should fulfill such responsibility in a fair and considerate manner and on the basis of clearly stated criteria. Now we will review Code 3.04, Client Records, A. Social workers should take reasonable steps to ensure that documentation in electronic and paper records is accurate and reflects the services provided. B. Social workers should include sufficient and timely documentation in records to facilitate the delivery of services and to ensure continuity of services provided to clients in the future. C. Social workers' documentation should protect clients' privacy to the extent that is possible and appropriate, and should include only information that is directly relevant to the delivery of services. D. Social workers should store records following the termination of services to ensure reasonable future access. Records should be maintained for the number of years required by relevant laws, agency policies, and contracts. Next code 3.05. Billing. Social workers should establish and maintain billing practices that accurately reflect the nature and extent of services provided and that identify who provided the service in the practice setting. Code 3.06. Client transfer. A. When an individual who is receiving services from another agency or colleague contacts a social worker for services, the social worker should carefully consider the client's needs before agreeing to provide services. To minimize possible confusion and conflict, social workers should discuss with potential clients the nature of the client's current relationship with other service providers and the implications, including possible benefits or risks, of entering into a relationship with a new service provider. B. If a new client has been served by another agency or colleague, social workers should discuss with the client whether consultation with the previous service provider is in the client's best interest. Code 3.0.7 Administration. A. Social work administrators should advocate within and outside their agencies for adequate resources to meet clients' needs. B. Social workers should advocate for resource allocation procedures that are open and fair. When not all clients' needs can be met, an allocation procedure should be developed that is non-discriminatory and based on appropriate and consistently applied principles. C. Social workers who are administrators should take reasonable steps to ensure that adequate agency or organizational resources are available to provide appropriate staff supervision. D. Social work administrators should take reasonable steps to ensure that the working environment for which they are responsible is consistent with and encourages compliance with the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics. Social work administrators should take reasonable steps to eliminate any conditions in their organizations that violate, interfere with, or discourage compliance with the code. Code 3.08 Continuing Education and Staff Development Social Work. Administrators and supervisors should take reasonable steps to provide or arrange for continuing education and staff development for all staff for whom they are responsible. Continuing education and staff development should address current knowledge and emerging developments related to social work practice and ethics. Next code 3.09 Commitments to employers. A. Social workers generally should adhere to commitments made to employers and employing organizations. B. Social workers should work to improve employing agencies' policies and procedures and the efficiency and effectiveness of their services. C. Social workers should take reasonable steps to ensure that employers are aware of social workers' ethical obligations as set forth in the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics and of the implications of those obligations for social work practice. D. Social workers should not allow an employing organization's policies, procedures, regulations, or administrative orders to interfere with their ethical practice of social work. Social workers should take reasonable steps to ensure that their employing organization's practices are consistent with the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics. E. Social workers should act to prevent and eliminate discrimination in the employing organization's work assignments and in its employment policies and practices. F. Social workers should accept employment or arrange student field placements only in organizations that exercise fair personnel practices. G. Social workers should be diligent stewards of the resources of their employing organizations, wisely conserving funds where appropriate and never misappropriating funds or using them for unintended purposes. Next code 3.010 Labor Management Disputes. A. Social workers may engage in organized action, including the formation of and participation in labor unions, to improve services to clients and working conditions. B. The actions of social workers who are involved in labor management disputes, job actions, or labor strikes should be guided by the profession's values, ethical principles, and ethical standards. Reasonable differences of opinion exist among social workers concerning their primary obligation as professionals during an actual or threatened labor strike or job action. Social workers should carefully examine relevant issues and their possible impact on clients before deciding on a course of action.
We have completed ethical standard number 3, social workers' ethical responsibilities in practice settings. This is video 4 out of a series of 7. In the next video, we will be discussing social workers' ethical responsibilities as professionals.